Good morning, gang. We're live. We're here on North Main Street in Barrie at the Fly on the Wall production studios. You got aired out. Thank you so much for tuning in, for being a part of the broadcast this morning, and dare I say, experience. We appreciate your eyes and your ears. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening in your car, wherever you are. We're streaming all over the place. Raylene, I've lost track. It's Sirius Satellite, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio.
TuneIn, Deezer, Podchaser,
Podcast Addict.
Yeah, everywhere.
All over the place.
Yeah.
And we have a new listener in Tennessee this morning that I think she was a Vermonter who has flown the coop and is now keeping up with what's going on here locally.
Well, good morning.
In Central Vermont. So, I can't remember her name. But anyway, we have Ericka Reil with us. Reil.
See, right out of the gate.
Well,
out the gate.
But she said that everyone says Reil.
I know.
It doesn't matter what you call me.
Thank you. right out the chute. We're hitting the bell this morning. Thank you for being here. This is great that you're coming to our microphones here at Aired Out and talking about a rather serious subject. Before we get into it, we need to say things are going to get messy this afternoon. Roger Hill is saying that some slick roads expected 3 to 5, 4 to 6. I've heard both.
It's all over the map.
Yeah, it kind of depends on where you are.
I just love the part that they're calling it a significant snowfall.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah. Hello. Were you here when I was a kid?
We've had fun talking about this.
Yes.
Significant is what? Over 18 inches? You're a Vermonter.
Yeah. I mean, well, at least over a foot, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we've had what, 5 feet dump on us sometimes.
Yeah. The Valentine's storm.
Yeah.
You remember that? Of course, you remember that.
That was significant.
Huge. I snowshoed up to Froggy that morning. I couldn't get up there, and I packed snowshoes in the back of my two-wheel drive truck. Made it to Barrie, and then I was like, screw it, I'm not even going to try. I snapped on the snowshoes and went up.
There you go.
All the way
That's
to Prospect.
dedication.
My God. I was totally out of breath and a mess all morning. But anyway, snow is coming. Just drive carefully. Use some common sense today.
Because there could be some sleet and freezing rain mixed in there as well. So
we
just want to be careful.
Yeah.
Be cautious. Drive according.
Sure. And it could be, I think Roger was saying, like up to an inch, between 1 and 2 inches an hour at some point with these squalls. Don't quote me on squalls, but there's supposed to be short bursts of intense snowfall. So, Ericka, so tell me, get me caught up now on, since I've chatted with you last and since I've seen you last, it's been a while. You're a very busy lady now.
I am. I've always been busy. I mean, I snicker at that. No, I when I last talked to you, I was working for the Vermont Center for Independent Living, which is a disability rights organization, which is near and dear to my heart. Over the pandemic, I started working with folks in the hotels. As we know, the hotel situation is dire. There's a lot of folks in the hotels. And I teamed up with a group out of Montpelier called Another Way, which is a group in Montpelier, and they were working with folks that have mental health diagnoses and are homeless. And I really felt that there was more I could do with my time and my energy. And there was a job opening, and I was like, wow, these are folks that I could really make a difference with. And so over the pandemic, I switched gears and went to work for them. And
during the pandemic.
Wow. Yeah. It was a different group, a different organization, but I was still working with folks with disabilities. Again, near and dear to my heart. I was working with folks that are homeless. And I've learned a significance about folks that are homeless. there's so many things. There's addictions. There's mental health. There's trauma. There's folks that are basically working poor, living in the hotels, living on the streets. There are families out there that are doing everything they can, and the stories I hear are heartbreaking, and I want to save everyone. And a lot of folks are doing the best they can with little, and and I want to do what I can. That was basically it. That's all I've wanted to do, is just do what I can for what I can.
So you're the chair of the homeless task force.
And yes, I'm chair of the Barrie City Homeless Task Force.
And how large is that? What do you have underneath you? Or I should say with you. I should say at your side with you.
I want to say that's the best. I have people at my side. I have I have 6 people, 6 very caring people that are out there. Not only are they on the committee, they're out there doing other work for the people that are homeless.
Can you give a shout out to them off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, I definitely want to give a shout out to Stephen Finner, Lauren Polk, our librarian, Brooke Pauliette, Philip Morris. I'm going to miss people. I'm so sorry. Chip Castle, who we all know.
Love Chip.
Yeah, he's amazing. Missing people. I know I'm going to miss people off the top of my head.
Well, wasn't Teddy on it?
Teddy was, but Teddy got very busy. And and we have people. We have that's 5 people, and I'm missing somebody. And it's going to come to me when I leave the show, as it always does.
That's okay. You drop it in the comments.
But we also have people that come regularly to the volunteers that come and say, what else can we do? Just because this is a serious issue.
I heard you say some words just a minute ago, and you said, and I'm quoting, "I want to save everybody." What a wonderful thing to have in your heart. But what a difficult thing to actually put into play and to execute. It's impossible. And I'm sure you tell yourself this all the time, and you have others that remind you of this. It's impossible to save everyone.
It is absolutely impossible to save everybody, but that can also mean different things. Saving somebody might mean listening to their story, or giving them a cup of coffee.
Absolutely.
Or giving them something to eat, or helping them find a resource they didn't have. So in my heart of hearts, saving somebody isn't just giving them, waving a magic wand to making all of their problems go away. It's just being a human.
Yeah, having an open mind and showing compassion.
Absolutely. I give kudos to my parents for showing me that compassion is looking out for your community. And
empathy is a big word, too.
Absolutely.
Trying to teach Lily that.
Yeah. My husband and I try to teach my son that, be thankful for what you have.
Yeah.
If you have extra, give it to somebody else.
You were just telling us off the air that there's right around 400, and that number is a guesstimate.
Yes.
400 individuals that are homeless. Is that in Barrie City?
So there are 400 in the hotel system right now. So that's Barrie, Berlin, and Montpelier.
Barrie, Berlin, Montpelier. Okay.
And that's also children. That number is including children.
Many of which, frankly, school buses are pulling up in front of these hotels and taking these kids to school because that's where they live.
Absolutely.
And thankfully, they're still doing that. Thankfully, they're still able and willing to get their kids an education. And that stigma isn't the stigma isn't causing a barrier for education. At least I'm very grateful for
Thank
that.
God.
Right.
Yeah.
And thank God's we have in Berry City, we have free lunches, we have free breakfasts. So we know that kids are getting food.
What will happen? I'm going to be all over the road. 'Cause
That's fine.
That's how I interview. But what will happen during the summer with regard to that? Do we know?
We don't know. But what we do know is, and I'm going to be really, really frank, is that what we're being told is in March, the hotel funding is going to run out.
March. Okay, so March is tomorrow.
Right. So we don't know if there's the hotel, if we're going to have an allotment for. We know that the cold weather stipends will still be okay. We don't know if we're going to have a big population boom of homeless. We don't know who's going to be in the hotels, who's going to be out of the hotels. We don't know. There are so many unknown factors right now.
Why? That's the big question.
Because the funding for the what we're using for I'm sorry, my words are getting tangled here. What we know is that the money that we were using for the hotel funding is running out, and there isn't a plan B.
Okay. Is that a hotel funding that's coming from the state? Is that coming from the government?
That's coming from the government.
Pandemic related?
Pandemic related.
And that's running out.
That's running out.
So once the pot's empty, probably not going to be replenished.
Right now, no.
Okay.
Unless we find more money.
So
And that's not easily done.
that's
Finding money is not easily done.
No, especially now.
Yeah.
Look what's happening everywhere.
Yeah.
We're in a recession.
Right. And so what we're seeing in Vermont, we're also seeing in California. We're seeing that in Tennessee. Right. So Vermont is not alone in this.
Yeah. I've seen some YouTube videos and some commentation coming from Skid Row, and it's just absolutely amazing. I don't know if you've seen the situation there in L.A. before the pandemic was crisis level and had been for a long time. Then throw the pandemic in the mix. My God. We have, for lack of a better term, camps or settlements or areas in and around Barrie and Berlin and even Montpelier, our capital, where the homeless congregate and, frankly, survive together. This is the more extreme version of homelessness outside of the hotels. But you've made a very interesting point, and we've had Dan Moland in here from Enough Ministries. We've had Chris Autry, Brooke Pouliot was in here I think a year ago. You all make the same point that a percentage of these individuals, for a multitude of reasons, that this is their choice. This is where they're comfortable.
And I believe you gave an approximation or an approximate number, which is one of our questions. Do we know how many homeless are in Barrie City that are not in hotels?
The approximation as of today, we have roughly 20 people on the streets in Barrie.
Okay.
Yeah.
And even Ron Tallman, who's been on before many times with me, talking about homelessness related to veterans. It could be a mental health issue. It could be, as you say, that there may be a particular individual or two or three who are unfortunately not welcome, for lack of a better term, in a church, in a shelter, like Good Samaritan Haven, or in a hotel, for a multitude of reasons. And we don't have to spell those out. I mean, God knows what they are. But the point is that I know all three of us and many others watching and listening have said to ourselves on very brutally cold winter nights,
Yeah.
my God, how are these people
Gonna
surviving?
survive.
How are they? Could I do it? I doubt it. We had a young 21-year-old girl who was hiking in New Hampshire a couple of months ago, a month and a half ago, something like that, who got lost and perished on the mountain. We ran the story heavily, and they found her body, I think, the next 2 days later or something like that, right around Christmas time.
Right. And then it makes you really think about all of these people that are trying to be out in the cold,
Yeah.
and make it and be okay.
Well, I said to, Lily saw what we were looking at on our cell phones. And who is that, Daddy? Well, I'm not going to lie to her. We told her, this is a girl that's hiking in New Hampshire and lost. And it was like stupid cold that night and windy. It was like 60-mile-an-hour winds. And she's like, she's out there right now? We said, yes. Well, is she alive, Daddy? We hope so. Or are they going to find her? We hope so. Lily says, well, what about all the other people that are not up on the mountain that are hiking tonight? Pretty profound, coming from a little girl. These are thoughts that we've had. How are they surviving, Ericka?
Well, I can tell you the stories that I've heard from folks that are out there, year after year, day after day. Some folks walk around all night and sleep during the day. Other folks are bundling up as best they can. I know one gentleman, for as long as I've known him, he's not, he doesn't want to go inside. That's his choice. He and I have become very, very close, and it's his choice. He doesn't want to be inside. But he says that when it gets really cold, he has, a great tent. He has a great sleeping bag. He bundles up as best he can. And he has a place where he can go where it's safe, under a porch, out of the elements. And, he makes the best of it and hopes it blows over. And, he's just in survival mode when it gets really cold out. And if I don't, I worry when I don't see him for a couple days. But, after, I know that if I see him, he's fine. I worry if I don't see him for a couple days. But I know that he's been able to do it for 2-3 years. But I know that he knows his haunts, his places where it's warm and out of the elements. For folks in encampments, they look out for each other.
Yeah.
They have their own systems. They have their ways of protecting each other. I've been in some of the encampments, and they know who to let in, let out, who to trust. And it's really, awesome that I'm sometimes allowed in encampments. And I also know that there are times when I can't approach an encampment because they don't know me. And I respect that.
And same with Officer Bissett.
I was just going to mention Chad.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, Chad is amazing.
Just going to mention.
Yeah.
Yeah. That guy. I mean, he'll go and buy a whole bunch of pizzas and bring them, on stupid cold nights.
Yeah, a lot of us that work with folks that are homeless. Chad's one. There are street medics in Montpelier. Brooke's another one. We'll call each other up saying, okay, we found this encampment and we have a shopping list. What we call a shopping list. This is what the encampment needs. Sleeping bags, bug repellent, tents. Who has it? And then we'll gather up supplies and send them out to Chad, or we'll send them out to a street medic, or we'll send them to Brooke. it's we have like this whole system of who has what, and it's almost like a system of operator.
That's pretty awesome.
Then you throw into the mix, a snowstorm or
Rain.
freezing rain, or a bad storm with trees coming down, and we're all worried about losing our power and our water and whether or not we've got a generator. I mean, come on, let's be honest. That's what we worry about. That's what we think about. And these folks, I mean, my God, a tree could come down on their tent. I mean, what a mess it must be. I mean, would I winter camp? I would. I have in Scouts, maybe one night, 2 tops. 3, I need a shower and some Dinty Moore beef stew and a good meal. And then food. So where does that fit in?
Again, this is where I love being a Vermonter, and I love being in Central Vermont because we all know each other. And so our system of playing operator. So it's like, okay, I have these folks and they need this. What do you have? And then so we all have connections. We all text each other. Okay, a storm's coming in. All right, I have food. All right, set it up. I have this. What do you have? And so our systems of operator kind of play, like Pastor Dan over at Enough Ministries. We have
what a top-notch individual.
I can't say enough.
Neither can I.
The Salvation Army. We have we have the churches in Montpelier. We have the Barry Interfaith. We all have these systems of who has what, where can we get it, where can we pick it up, and then we get it to who needs whatever.
Wow.
It's just like this whole intertwined spider web of systems that people don't realize, but all the folks that are unhoused or homeless, whatever they want to call themselves, we all know where to go. And it's one of those things that people don't really see, but it's just word of mouth.
We have another question. Rosemary Averill would like to know, if you promote publicly when there are needs like food, etc., how can Barry help more?
Yeah.
One of the things I've learned is Front Porch Forum is a great avenue. I've posted several times on Front Porch Forum, and Facebook, and then Instagram. A lot of folks have Instagram and gone away from Facebook, just because there are a lot of folks that are younger and they're using Instagram a lot more.
Oh, yes.
Twitter is kind of gone by the wayside, but Instagram has been the best way to get.
That's where my 18-year-old nephews hang out. That's where they get everything.
Yeah.
Well, not everything, but that's where they're connected to.
But yeah, I mean, Facebook is still around, but sorry, people, 40 and up, that's where we are.
And AOL.
Yeah.
And what was it called?
What did the modem used to do?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Nobody knows what we're talking about.
But Facebook has kind of gone by the wayside. I mean, it's Instagram.
Instagram's hot. Yeah, no doubt about it. But what do you say? What do you say? Do you say this is what we need, and we have a collection area, a staging point?
We just say this is who you can contact. I mean, my number. Everybody has my number. Mm-hmm. People know how to contact me. I don't shy away from that.
I do see Chad post every once in a while saying, looking for sheets, sweaters, sleeping bags, tents, different things like that. I do see him posting once in a while. But, yeah, we'll just have to pay more attention so that we can help get that message out there.
Of course. The biggest question you get asked is, why do people choose to be on the streets or living in cars? Absolutely.
I get asked that a lot. And you brought that up as well. And people choose it for many different reasons. I have folks that tell me that in the hotels, they're sometimes they're victims of domestic violence, but they're the person who committed acts are also housed in the hotels with them. The shelters are full. I have women that have no other choice but to be in the hotel, be in their cars because their predator is in the hotel. I have folks that have no other choice but to be on the streets. They have been exited from prisons without IDs, so they can't get services. So they're on the streets. A lot of people get robbed, so they have no money, or they don't have their IDs with them. Vermont is I say things don't happen very fast in Vermont for a reason, because it takes a while to get IDs. It takes money to get IDs. $10 might not mean a lot to us, but it means a lot to somebody who has no income. And it's very hard for somebody who has, say, a mental health diagnosis, to get sometimes services. We have great services here, but sometimes it takes a while to access those services.
And probably the same thing if you don't have ID, if you aren't able to get Medicaid, if you aren't able to be a part of the ball rolling.
Right. And there's also income limits to getting services. If you're $5 over the maximum amount to get food stamps, you don't get food stamps. I have a woman who is living in her car because she's $60 over the income amount to live in a hotel. $60 is not that much money.
But absolutely cannot afford an apartment.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that is a huge point that I even say to people. Not everybody that lives in the hotels or that is homeless is jobless, and there are people that get up, go to work every day, and they're doing what they can do, but they just don't have enough, but they have too much to get help.
Right. Like there's a woman who put out her story, and she said it was okay to say her name. Her name is Kobe Lynch. She has a full-time job. She goes to work every day. She has a car. She has everything. She's been in a hotel system for a year. Every time she puts out, an inquiry about an apartment, the apartment's gone.
Or they want first and last month's deposit, and the price of rent is, let's be honest, it's huge.
Right, but she has everything in place. It's just that she's not there first.
Then throw kids into the mix.
Right.
I have one that I can barely afford. Kids are expensive.
Kids are expensive.
They're growing out of clothes and shoes and my God.
I've visited hotels like where people are living in hotel rooms with their 3 kids, one room, and there's no refrigerator, there's no stove, all they have is a microwave. So that not only are they trying to do the best they can, but microwave food is expensive.
Of course it is.
So they're spending all of their money, their food stamps, and they're spending all of their extra money to buy food, and there's no place to cook.
You're bringing something to the microphones here that are it's so outside of the box. It's the things that we don't think about that are so complicated and detailed with homelessness, which is a big umbrella. I mean, there's just so much stuff that goes with this, and there's no two stories and situations that are the same.
Absolutely not. I mean, it's hard when you hear the stories day after day, like a person who's homeless living in a hotel. I just pick people who are living in hotels, and I don't mean to pick on anybody who's living in a hotel, but they have to go to Capstone. They have to meet with their housing counselor, then they have to go to economic services, then they have to go here, and they're also trying to get work. So you can imagine if you're working an hourly job,
Right.
and you're told that you have to go to 5 different appointments and still have your kid in daycare, still have work, still trying to find an apartment. It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
You just mentioned daycare, and I just want to tell everyone that, again, and I think I said this yesterday, we've been in touch with Let's Grow Kids, Rex and the rest of his team, at least one other team member. They are going to be coming back. It's been over a year since they've been on the air. They are coming back to talk about the price tag with childcare in Vermont. We're at a crisis level.
Right, and he
Have
does
been.
talk about the difficulties of accessing it as well, and the hurdles involved.
Sure. It's not, I say we're at a crisis, but we have been for a long time now. It's like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that I just can't. I can't imagine having 3 kids, a kid. It's horrible. I mean, what's going on with daycare?
Yeah. And even if you're lucky enough to have a partner in your life, husband, wife, whatever, you've got to have an outstanding, healthy relationship with that individual to be able to survive times like this. Whether one individual is staying home and deciding to be with the kids during the day while the other one is out working, you've got to have a rock solid relationship. If you're fortunate enough to even have one, to have a partner, another adult who's helping you drive this bus, it's crazy.
Yeah. My son passed away, but I really give kudos out there to parents that are able to do it, especially with when the pandemic hit and they had children, being at home. And
I know. You're trying to work. Oh, it's a mess.
yeah.
And it's a mess, and there's many reasons for it, and we can sit on Facebook even now and point fingers at the cause of this, or what we think the root cause of all of this is, and you can blame it on this and that and this and that and taxes and the pandemic, and you can sit and do that all day. The bottom line is that until we get a grasp on this, people are in need of help right now, immediately.
Right, we have to find a way forward and know how to work together.
Right. It's not about stopping the bleeding at this point. I think it's more about just trying to slow it down.
Mm-hmm. And I don't, I wish I had a magic wand to tell you this is what you need to do. I don't. I can tell you there's a crisis. There's been a crisis. We're not going to solve homelessness. There's always going to be homelessness.
That's right.
But I can tell you there are folks out there that need help. Give folks your time, energy. Maybe it's just a matter of reworking some of the systems out there. Having services that are open on weekends. My organization's open on weekends. It's being a caring individual and saying, yes, we need to throw some money at this. We need to make meals. I know Good Samaritan Haven is desperate for people to help with meal prep and making meals. I heard that Everybody Eats, which is a meal program, might be running out of funding. That's a rumor, so please don't quote me on that. Don't say Ericka said this is happening, and so it's.
Oh, that's going to happen anyway.
Yeah. If
But
you,
yeah.
If you have extra camping gear, I'm doing a purge in my house. If you have an extra camping gear, if you have clothes, if you have a winter coat you haven't worn in a while, these are all things people could use.
So contact you and say, yo, I mean, do you, is it your hope to have, and I've talked with others about this, about having a centralized staging area where things like this can, so that your living room is not clogged up.
So if I brought all this stuff to my house, my husband would probably kill me.
Understand?
Because I already have a lot of stuff. No, so my organization, Another Way, has a clothing closet, which my boss calls Ericka's Suite, or Ericka's thrift store. No, so you can contact me at Ericka, ERICKA, at anotherwayvt.org. And we take donations.
Okay.
Good Sam,
Yeah.
Good Samaritan Haven, they take donations of camping gear. So you can contact me. You can contact Good Sam.
Maybe Enough Ministries?
Enough Ministries. Pastor Dan takes donations. These are all organizations that take camping gear, winter gear, clothing, good. I'm not talking about
Right.
trashy. I'm talking about good
stuff.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
We would love to have donations. It saves a life, really.
Yeah.
These are all little things people can do.
I stopped over at the Enough Ministries, I don't know, a week ago or so. And there was Dan, and he had this pickup truck loaded to the gills with all kinds of food, perishable and non-perishable. And loaded. And I'm like, wow. And he says, yep, it's Wednesday, and this is our weekly run. Or maybe it was a bi-weekly run. I don't know. But just to the hotels.
Yeah, I can't say enough for what Pastor Dan and Enough Ministries do. There's a, I believe the Salvation Army has a refrigerator as well. There's a refrigerator in Montpelier for folks to drop food off by Uncommon Market on Elm Street. People drop food off at Another Way for folks, and we just give it away, and it goes.
Yeah, it moves quickly.
Yeah, just a little life hack for folks. If you're dropping off tins, the pop-top tins are better because folks don't have can openers.
Yeah, wow. Just little things like that.
Absolutely.
Will you come back?
I would love to come back if you'd have me.
Absolutely.
Also, dog food and cat food.
Forgot about that.
We would love to have donations of dog food and cat food because we have homeless cats and dogs as well.
Listen, there's a lot of comments that are dropping here. I'm hopeful and assuming that you will check these comments out and respond.
I will. I hope they're good because I'm not looking at them.
Yes.
They're all thumbs up. What you're doing, along with many others, to try to chip away at this, and it is, like you said, we're not going to be able to solve this, but if we can at least try to get the upper hand on it a little bit. Is there still the warming, the daily warming shelter over at the library?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's wonderful what they're doing over there. The person who runs it used to be a person who was homeless, so she knows what it's like.
And Lauren Polk, man, just thumbs up.
She's another Pastor Dan for me.
Yes.
So yeah, they do help with form filling out, they computer programming, they have classes online. It's amazing, and a cup of coffee, and I believe they also serve some kind of little pastry as well. They're open too early for me because I'm not an early riser. So,
well, listen, any and all resources and anything else that you can think of, please drop it in the comments. Please, and I say to the folks watching, listening right now, share the hell out of this one, because that's it, for the sake of the people that are homeless.
Yeah, and always share with us so that we know.
Yeah,
we can get the word out. I mean, we're always willing to do that for sure.
And thank you all for asking me to come, and And JD, thank you. It's good to see you again. And if anytime you want somebody from the homeless community service providers to come, let me know, and I'll be happy to first word.
Bank on that.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
next time you're in here, we want you with someone else who can continue to bang this drum. We have to. We have to.
And so thank you, and anybody who's out there, thank you for listening. And
I would even, if we could, you never know, I would love to be able to speak with somebody who is in the situation so that you can put a face to the problem sometimes makes all the difference.
Yeah.
I would like to, talk to somebody like that so that people understand and know that it's a person. This is a person.
I've tried to get Chad Bissett to come in here and do that, but first of all, he's such a humble dude. He doesn't want any recognition. A. B. That's asking. That's a tall order.
Right,
Because a lot of
asking
these people
somebody
are
to
very,
come in. They're private.
Very private.
Yeah.
I actually have the perfect person that could come in.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I just think that
Let's
sometimes
get that on the calendar.
Sometimes that just makes all the difference in the world when somebody can see this is a person. It's a situation, but the person is in the situation.
Sure.
It just
For
makes such
lots
a
of
difference.
different reasons.
And then there may be people. Well, we've met people. We've met Benjamin from down south,
Yeah.
the rapper.
Yeah.
Homeless.
Yeah.
He was homeless, but now he's doing well.
Yeah.
He has, it has taken a while. He's done all the things to try, but it was never easy. He's gotten himself to a place where he can be.
And there's so many rabbit holes that can spin off of this that we can get into drugs and alcohol, and then there's the mental health. I mean, there's so many hairs that can come off of this.
Right. No, the person I mentioned before, Colby, she's in a hotel in Barrie, and she would be more than willing to come in.
That's what we're looking for.
That would be great.
That's what Vermonters are looking for. They want to see and hear.
Yep. And
Let's do it.
Yeah, she would be more than willing, and she's a native Vermonter as well. So.
All right.
Nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming in here. We're doing it again soon, real soon.
Sounds great.